This video is for anyone who's been invited to join the response team either at West Swan or at Armadale. My name's Elle, I'll be team leading the team at West Swan and we'll soon be letting you know who the team leader is at Armadale. So this video assumes that you've already read through the team member handbook. So if you haven't read it, then pause the video and read that now. I'll be referring to it and it would be really good if you have it handy as we go through this video. Cool, so once you've read the handbook and you've watched this video and you've let your team leader know that you would like to accept the invitation to join the team, then you are ready to begin serving. So if you can flick through to page 2 of the handbook, it outlines in that section the team member role. And so really if I could boil down the team member role to just a sentence or two, it would be that we are an exemplar heart of responding to God and obeying Him, and that we are above all else seeking to connect the responder with God by His Holy Spirit. More of Him and less of us. And on that page, the final point is that we are to interact with those who come forward for ministry according to the response time process. And that's really key to being a part of the response team. As a team, we want to have consistency and unity in our approach. We also want to make sure that we're submitted to and acting under the authority of EDAC. We want to be true to EDAC's beliefs, and we also want to make sure that we're not just going rogue, that we're protecting ministry participants who come forward for prayer. So if you can flick through to page 8 now, and we'll have a look at the section of titled Spiritual Gifts. So this is the most recent update to the handbook, and so you may have read a previous version that didn't have this, but we invite the manifestations or the gifts of the Holy Spirit in our team. We also ask, though, that you don't force this. It's much better, or it's more than adequate, to simply listen and pray for someone, because when we offer something that's not from God, we can do great harm, or we can even end up working in opposition to God. Okay, so on the next page, page 9, and from there through to the end of the booklet, you'll find a guide for common response types. And so the idea of this section is that you can refer to it when you're doing ministry, that booklet is always at the front of church, and you can grab that when you're praying with someone. And so those common response types hopefully will cover all of the different types of reasons people may come forward for prayer. An example of one of those is to receive Christ as King. So each type of response has a list underneath it of verses, and there to prompt you if you wish to share a relevant verse with the person who's come forward for prayer. And you can share other verses as you feel led. You don't have to use those verses, they're just there if you want them. The bit you do have to use is under the resources section. And so if you're praying with someone who's come forward to receive Christ as King, for example, there are a few processes or things to do within that response type, which include giving the person a tract or a flyer that goes through how to commit to Christ. And so it's important that you follow any of those resource prompts that are in bold and use the resources in the kit to do that. And so in that instance, you would then go through that flyer with the person and then hand it to them, and they would take that home with them. Cool. So this kind of goes back to the earlier point too, of being submitted to EDAC and unified as a team, making sure we're working with the same processes and that those processes are in line with our beliefs as a church. So you've made it to the end of this video. Now you can decide if you want to join the response team and let us know. You can also, once you've let us know, you can start serving. So when we announce, or when the pastor announces that it's the response time at church, you can now come forward, pop a sticker on to show that you're part of the team and you're ready to serve. At West Swan, we're going to give the no roster approach a go to start with. So this means you can simply come forward when the response time is announced and sit up the front ready. It means that you can be guided by your capacity. So if you're just not feeling it that week, you don't have the energy or the capacity to serve, then don't come forward. And similarly, if you'd actually just like to come forward and receive prayer, you can come forward and just don't put the identifying sticker on, and we know that you're coming forward to be prayed for rather than to pray with others. If we find that there's not enough of us to meet the demand without a roster, then we may need to start rostering, but we'll look at that in the future. And so you can come and serve up the front every week if you like, or you can serve once a month, whatever works for you and whatever you have the capacity for. Awesome. I can't wait to start serving with you on this team and to see God work through you as you tune into Him.